LEIGHTDICKEY.com. Do you have an event or occasion coming up that could use a special touch? Perhaps a wedding, a production, a show? Good! Then you're in luck. Hayley Moores is who you're looking for. Hayley is a makeup artist in the Toronto, Ontario area, specializing in bridal, glam, natural, and special effects. She's incredibly talented, professional, easy to work with, and has a personality that is second to none. To book Hayley Moores today, follow her on Instagram at mad_milash, that's MAD_MILASH, or email her at madmilash, again, that's MADMILASH @gmail.com. Book Hayley Moores today, you'll be glad you did. LEIGHTDICKEY.com. LEIGHTDICKEY.com. Do you find yourself reminiscing on what life was like when you were younger? Do your favorite songs, movies, and TV shows instantly take you back to a simpler time? Great! Then you're in the right place. Join me, Leigh Dickey, on my new web series and podcast, Yo Nostalgia, where I cover everything you grew up with. From films and toys to fads and trends, Yo Nostalgia has it all. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever podcasts are available. Follow along on social media at Yo Nostalgia Show to keep up on this time-traveling trip. Yo Nostalgia, breathing new life into your memories, available everywhere now. LEIGHTDICKEY.com. LEIGHTDICKEY.com. Do you enjoy good conversation? Are you a person with many passions? Perfect. Then the Beats and Speaks podcast is for you. Join me, Leigh Dickey, every Friday for stories and interviews about everyday life with everyday people about everyday things. Everyone has a story, and I just want to help them tell it. The Beats and Speaks podcast, your everyday life, everyday stories, everyday people, comedy and entertainment audio joyride. Subscribe and download on LEIGHTDICKEY.com, Leigh Dickey TV on YouTube, and your favorite podcast app. The Beats and Speaks podcast, available everywhere now. LEIGHTDICKEY.com. LEIGHTDICKEY.com. What's going on, everybody? Leigh Dickey here. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Beats and Speaks podcast. Today, this week, I want to give you my opinion on the entertainment options when it comes to, options on airplanes. The entertainment selections that they give you on the airplanes. But before we get into that main event, before we get into the topic of the week, I want to tell you where you can find the Beats and Speaks podcast. Of course, new episodes of the Beats and Speaks podcast are released every single Friday on my official website, LEIGHTDICKEY.com, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and wherever podcasts are available. We're on YouTube as well under Leigh Dickey TV, so please do comment, like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Of course, all the links are down in the description. Thank you very much. If you want to be a guest on a future episode of the Beats and Speaks podcast, please do send me an email at LeighTDickey@gmail.com. Follow along on social media at LeighTDickey. Send your comments, questions, and anything you want to talk about to LeighTDickey@gmail.com. Topic requests, if there's something you want me to cover, send it to LeighTDickey@gmail.com, and we will go from there, and I will make something happen, I promise. But there it is. All the housekeeping is out of the way. Please do rate us 5 stars and leave reviews too, if you would, please, and thank you. Now that all the housekeeping is out of the way, let's get into the main event, get into why you are really here, and that is my opinion on the entertainment options that are available on airplanes right here on a brand new episode of the Beats and Speaks podcast. All right, so yes, the entertainment options available to consumers on airplanes. Now, I don't fly much anymore. I think I've been on, maybe 3 vacations in the last 15 years, and that's probably, that's an estimate. Yeah, I'd say 3 vacations in the past 15 years. And when I say vacations, I mean like in terms of let's get on an airplane and fly somewhere. 3 vacations about the last 15 years. And the entertainment options are limited. You're there and you're limited to what they have on offer. Fine, whatever. It's their airline. They do whatever they want. And they only have available what they have available. Not complaining about that. And, we live in a time now that if you were to, say, fly somewhere or take a train somewhere, which is my preferred mode of transport, to be honest with you, I prefer going on a train. I prefer being on the ground, because being 30,000 feet in the air, not a big fan of flying. So having to do that, I'm just kind of like, okay, well, whatever. We'll just do it. I'm in the air. Let's just, let me get to my destination. I want this thing to land, and then I'll be happy. Just get me through the airport. Let me get my luggage, and then I can go on about my merry way. When it comes to the entertainment options on airplanes, they're limited, right? You can only watch what they have on offer, but if you decide to pack your own entertainment, then you are free to do so, right? Like, if you pack, say, an MP3 player, your own movies, or you have files on, like, your phone, like movie files, TV episodes, podcasts, like, we can entertain ourselves with just our phones nowadays. But back when I was, last time I took a plane anywhere was in 2013 to Hawaii, ironically, to visit family. And the entertainment options are limited. The time before that was 2006 to the Philippines, again, to visit family. And it was just kind of like, well, all right, this is a little... it can get a bit repetitive and a bit boring, and it just is what it is, simply because you're at the mercy of what they offer you, right? And not necessarily the best selections in the world. I mean, I remember flying from Chicago to Tokyo, which wasn't that bad. It was only an hour and a half. And you get to... all I had to do was watch, 3 episodes, I think, of whatever was on. I can't remember what it was. I think it was like 3 episodes of Friends or 3 episodes of 2.5 Men or whatever was available at that time. And this was about 2006 was this trip to the Philippines. So I'm not sure what I was actually watching, but it was like 3 simple episodes. Okay, we get that done. Oh, this is interesting. I'll watch this for a little bit. And at that time, I didn't have much to entertain myself. I didn't have my own personal sort of media player. Like, smartphones weren't really that big back then. They were just coming into form. I think they really took off the following year, 2007. So I was just kind of like, okay, well, I'm limited and this is boring. So whatever. I would amuse myself by just looking out the window or, thinking of other things or trying to think of ways to entertain myself without, say, the TV or monitor in the headrest in front of me. And it was just like, okay, the flight from Toronto to Chicago wasn't that bad, but Chicago to Tokyo, it was a 12-hour flight, and this was all just getting to the Philippines, okay? So we went from Toronto to Chicago, Chicago to Tokyo, and Chicago to Tokyo is 12 hours. That was brutal, okay? It was a brutal flight. Chicago to Tokyo is brutal. And I must have watched the same 5 or 6 episodes of 2.5 Men, and this was, or something, maybe not even 2.5 Men, but it was the same, I must have watched, the same movie about 6 or 8 times, something like that. And I can't remember the name of the film. It was something with Antonio Banderas and Rob Brown. I can't remember the name of that film to save my life. It was just, I think it was something surrounding underprivileged youth or sort of delinquent youth and ballroom dancing of some sort. And I must have seen that movie probably 6 to 8 times on that flight. And the movie itself was about 92 minutes. So I was just kind of okay, whatever. Because I'm looking through the options that they have, and I just wasn't interested in any of them. But I'm like, okay, let me throw something on because I have to entertain myself somehow. And I couldn't. Falling asleep on planes is non-existent to me. So it was watch the same movie over and over and over again. because I just couldn't shut my eyes. I don't know. I can't get comfortable in a seat that's on an airplane 30,000 feet in the air. Because you're flying in, like, I think it was economy at the time, and I couldn't get comfortable. It was just, okay, so I guess I'm gonna, like, it's almost like a form of self-torture where I watch the same movie even though I know how it begins, how the middle is, and how it ends every time. I've, 6, 8 times the same movie over and over again, and, like, I may have even, like, digged into the children's options because I was like, what else do they have there? I was trying to, I'm like, okay, what kind of music options do they have? Because at the time, I don't know if we flew Air Canada from Toronto to Chicago, and then I think Air Japan the rest of the way, or Japan Air, whatever it's called, the rest of the way. But, on that flight from Chicago to Tokyo, I'm not sure if every airline company has this option, but they give you headphones, and they're specially made for 2 3.5 millimeter jacks that are in the one armrest of your seat. So I put those in, and I'm like, what is this? Okay, let's see the entertainment options in terms of music, what they have, and there was some rock, which was fine. I don't like all rock. I'm much more of a give me some stuff out of the 70s and the 80s. That's where I like to sit in terms of, like, my musical taste. I'll listen to everything. I'll give everything the once over, but I like my, like, throw on a greatest hits radio station, and I'm happy. Like, that's right in my wheelhouse. Give me some stuff in the 90s too, because that's the time frame where I grew up, and that makes me happy. So I was looking through the music options, and some jazz, there was some rock, there was some hip hop from the time, and I think I might have brought a personal CD player, like, those Walkmans that you could bring, and I think I may have had a few CDs, but they were stowed away in my carry-on, which was, like, sort of buried really snugly underneath my seat and hard to get to, so I was, like, limited to what the plane had to offer. And it was just kind of like, okay, well, I don't really have a choice because I'm stuck in a tube that's supposed to get me to my destination in however many hours we have left. That's another thing, getting on, the topic of, like, and, if you're an airline steward or stewardess or flight attendant, right, thank you for doing your jobs so well. But I am no good when it comes to flying. Like, I can behave myself, I'm patient enough, but when I ask you, I'm very much a time-centric guy. Like, okay, it's going to take me like 15 minutes to get here. It's going to take me about 15, 20 minutes to do this. I might be done in about a half an hour. Like, I like to ballpark things, right? So when I ask flight attendant, like, how much longer do we have in the air, and she decides to mess with me a little bit, I'm not in the mood. Because I remember one time, and this was actually going to Hawaii from Vancouver, where I asked the flight attendant, or whatever, flight attendant, and she looked at her coworker, and she's, should I tell him? I'm like, listen, can you just tell me how much longer approximately I have left in this aerial tin can, please? And she told me it was about 90 minutes. And by looking at my watch, I could figure that out. But I like to hear that we have approximately 90 minutes. Fine, great, fantastic, that's cool. If you tell me straight out, I'll respect you even more. But if you decide to beat around the bush, and maybe I should pull his string a little bit and mess with him kind of, no, man, not with a guy that doesn't like to fly, okay? The worst thing you can do with a guy that doesn't like to fly, myself, mess with him. Don't mess with me, okay? I want a straight answer. Please, just give me a straight answer. How much longer do I have in this aerial tin can? That's all I want to know. And should I tell him? Maybe, kind of. When you're iffy, like, I get ticked off. And it's like, no, gotta behave myself. Because I was getting antsy. Like, I get antsy to begin with. I don't like sitting in one place for far too long. And that was just one of those instances where I was like, just tell me, just tell me, just tell me, just tell me. Because, like, I was clenching my fist and da-da-da-da, It's like, nah, man. This is why I prefer trains. Because at least it's, there's less distance from me and the ground at that point. And I like being closer to the ground, and with being in the air, you don't have that because you're 30,000 feet above the earth, and it's just kind of all right. Well, whatever. This is the option I got, and this is what I have to contend with, and it is what it is. And as of the recording, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but there is either a helicopter or an airplane flying above my house. Great, fine, thanks guys, cool. But getting back to the entertainment options that they have, you're limited to, say, like the same few seasons of the same shows, like Frasier, 2.5 Men. That was a big one back in like when we flew to Hawaii, I think it was, or maybe even, I think it was Hawaii. I must have seen I must have watched the entire, or at least most of the 9th season of 2.5 Men, and that was the season where Ashton Kutcher came in after Charlie Sheen got fired. So it was just kind of like, okay. And to be fair, I actually liked the 9th season of 2.5 Men. After that, it just kind of like, I tried to keep up with it after like, seasons 9 and 10. After that, I just kind of lost interest. And, they had options for the kids. Obviously, there was like Wreck-It Ralph on within the children's section of the movies or what have you. And then there were a few that I really didn't care for. I really didn't care for whatever the blockbusters were. I've never really cared for blockbuster films, right? Like the big films that everybody talks about. So I'm very much like, I know what I like, and I am sick and tired of seeing, say, like the same people in the same movies every single summer or every single year. You can't escape it. So I just kind of like, okay, whatever, and tune it out, and then just tune into whatever I like. And that's just what it is. But, as I keep saying, you're limited to what the airlines offer in terms of entertainment, food too, and there's nothing really you can do about it. Although now, if you chose to fly, you have the option of taking a phone, taking whatever it is with you. So there it is. You're limited to the options that the airlines give you in terms of entertainment, well, in terms of everything, until you get to your destination. Then you can really enjoy your vacation from there. But, there it is. I must have seen the same episodes of 2.5 Men last time I was on a plane at that length and around that time. That must have been about 2013. And then, of course, there was that really weird, strange, ballroom dancing, delinquent youth movie with Antonio Banderas and Rob Brown. I don't remember the name of the film for the life of me, but as I've said several times, you are limited to the options that the airlines give you, whether it's TV shows or even like, music, movies, whatever it happens to be. I mean, I must have seen the same episodes of Frasier. I don't mind the show Frasier. I don't mind Kelsey Grammer, David Hyde Pierce. Didn't mind the show. Wasn't my favorite, but would I sit and watch it? Sure. Why? Because it's, it aired in the time frame that I grew up in, the 90s. I'm born in the 80s, child of the 90s. What more could a kid ask for? I mean, it's a show that I enjoyed a little bit. Cheers, not so much. I think I might have been 4 when that show went off the air, but when it came to Frasier, I grew up right in that, and I enjoyed the show, but not to the extent where I would watch the same episodes over and over again. But, I must have seen the same episodes of season 9 of 2.5 Men constantly on that flight from Chicago to Tokyo. And then, the same Antonio Banderas movie about 6 or 8 times on that same flight, just to keep myself occupied, because I can't sleep on planes. Now, granted, if it was a first-class seat, probably would have been able to, because I need to stretch my legs because I have bad knees. And it's just, like, not having any leg room sucks. So, you're stuck with what you got at that juncture. And to be fair, you had to make do with what you had. So that's what I had at that time. It was 2.5 Men, the same Antonio Banderas movie, and so on and so on. The same movies, the same blockbusters, which I'm not a big fan of. But, that's what the airlines had at that time, and then that's what I had to contend with. But there you go, my opinion on the entertainment options that airlines will give you my opinion on movies, TV, music that comes with airlines. I'm not sure if they even provide entertainment options anymore on airlines. I'm not even sure that there's a need to provide entertainment options because we're also connected with smartphones and Wi-Fi and data plans and what have you. I don't know. I mean, maybe there is a reason to still have entertainment options, whether you're staring into the monitor that's, installed in the backrest in front of you, or there's a giant movie screen at the front or at the front of, say, the section of the plane that you're sitting in. I don't know. Let me know. Post it down in the comments below. Where is the last vacation or the last place you went to, the last place you traveled to? What were the entertainment options there? Did you bring a device with you to entertain you? Let me know down in the comments below. Please do comment, like, share, and subscribe. Remember, new episodes of the Beats and Speaks podcast are released every single Friday on my official website, LEIGHTDICKEY.com, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and wherever podcasts are available. We're on YouTube as well under Leigh Dickey TV, so please do comment, like, share, and subscribe there as well. Rate us 5 stars and leave reviews too on your favorite podcast app and player of choice. Follow along on social media at Leigh T. Dickey. Send your comments, questions, guest requests, or topic requests to LeighTDickey@gmail.com. All right, I've been Leigh Dickey. This has been another episode of the Beats and Speaks podcast. This wraps it up. Thank you all again for listening, tuning in, watching, wherever you're tuning in from. Thank you again for the support. Love you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Talk to you then. Have a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Peace. LeighTDickey.com